everybody to this special executive on the 9th of September 2020. And I apologise for any background noise you might be hearing when I'm speaking or have my microphone on. I've still got people on the roof. Hopefully, if I've got my camera on and you see something flash past my right shoulder going in a downwards direction, it won't be one of the people on top of the roof. It'll just be a bit of dust. But hopefully,
it's Father
we'll
Christmas
get this.
Come early.
Yeah, it sounds like it at the moment, so I do apologise. Right, Andrew, over to you.
Okay, thank you very much, Leader. Good morning, members, and welcome to the Executive on the 9th of September. And this meeting has been held under the recent government regulations to allow remote meetings to take place and allow us to take decisions. Hopefully everyone here today will be able to hear the meeting, and if there is a technical problem we will take a break and adjourn the meeting so that we can get everybody reconnected, but hopefully everything will be stable today. And just to remind everyone that the meeting is being recorded today, and a copy of that recording will be made available on the Council's YouTube channel in the next few days. Just to say that all members should have their video on but remain on mute, and if you do wish to attract the attention of the leader or other officers who are supporting the meeting today, then please use the instant messaging down at the bottom left hand side of your screen. And I'm just to say that there are no press or public listening to the meeting today, but if they were, they would be on mute. So over to the leader now for the start of the meeting and the agenda proper.
Yeah, thank you very much, Andrew. And good morning again, everyone. I'd just like to ask each of the portfolio holders, councillors present, taking part in this meeting, just to introduce themselves and confirm that they can see and hear everything that's going on before we start the official business. And I'll kick off with myself. I can certainly see myself and other people. Councillor Slocum.
Thank you, Leader. Councillor Jill Slocum, I can see and hear everyone.
Good. Mike. Councillor Caswell, apologies.
Good morning, Leader and everybody. Councillor Mike Caswell, portfolio holder for infrastructure and transport. I can clearly hear and see all.
Thank you. Councillor Duddridge.
Good morning all, Councillor Lance Duddridge, portfolio holder for customer access and digital delivery, and I can see and hear everything.
Good, good, and is awake. Brilliant. Councillor Gilling.
Thank you, Leader. I can confirm that as Councillor Andrew Gilling, portfolio holder for housing, I can see and hear everything. Whether that's an advantage or not, I don't know.
I'm sure it is. Councillor Healey.
Yes, good morning everybody. Good morning, Leader. Mark Healey, portfolio holder for commercial asset management. I can confirm I can see and hear everything. Thank you.
Thank you. And Councillor Keane.
Good morning everyone. Councillor Janet Keane, portfolio holder for communities and wellbeing. I confirm I can see and hear everybody.
Thank you. Can I just go to SLT, members who are here at the moment, for them to introduce themselves, and I'll start with the Chief Executive, please.
Good morning everybody, Alison Griffin, Chief Executive. Yes, I can confirm I can hear and see everybody perfectly, thank you.
Thank you. Mrs Turner.
Good morning everybody, I'm Alison Turner, Assistant Director of Finance and Property, and I can confirm that I can see and hear everything.
Mr Brown.
Good morning everyone, I'm Bob Brown, Strategic Director, and I can confirm that I can see and hear everything.
Dawn Lemon.
Good morning, my name is Dawn Leamon, I'm a solicitor in the legal team. I can confirm that I can hear and see everything, and I am here to observe. Thank you.
Thank you, and apologies. Mrs Wellman.
Good morning, Melanie Wellman, Assistant Director for Legal, and I can confirm I can hear and see everything. Thank you.
Thank you. I think we got, Steve Taylor.
Good morning, Leader. Steve Taylor, Democratic Services.
And last by no means least, Mr Melhuish.
Yes, thank you, Leader. Andrew Melhuish, Democratic Services, and I can see and hear everybody loud and clear this morning. Thank you.
Thank you, and we've got Councillor Smedley here as well, and I will thank him formally later on for his input through the scrutiny committee, and he will no doubt add something during the debate on the item in question today. So I think we're about then ready, if you are, Mr. Melhuish, to go into the agenda proper.
Yes, please, Leader. Thank you very much.
Right, members, any apologies for absence?
Able to confirm that all members today are present and correct. Thank you.
Members, any declarations of interest? Right, moving on then. Any urgent business? I have none. Public speaking time, as Mr. Melhuish has said, we have no members of the public speaking, but of course any members of council will be at liberty to speak during the course of the agenda. We come on therefore to agenda item 5, which is Stronger Somerset, and this will be recommendations to full council this afternoon. I'd just like to ask members of the committee, we have over the last week or so had a number of presentations upon the Stronger Somerset business case and submission, and I was wondering whether you wanted to go through the presentation again at this point, or are you happy to take it as read with the ability to make comments and ask questions? Does anyone have any fixed opinion one way or the other, please?
Leader?
Yep, Deputy Leader.
Thank you, Leader. I think we've been very lucky this week that we've had a couple of presentations, and we've had last night as well. I am more than happy to fully. I hope I've fully understood everything, and happy to go forward with questions.
Right, thank you. Yep, that just seems to be the right. Everybody is in agreement. Therefore, I'd just like to give, by way of introduction, the normal bit. I would say is that clearly this is a point of life that we would prefer not to be in at this time, but we are not necessarily masters of our own destiny at the moment, and therefore, given that there is a single unitary bid for Somerset that has been placed before the Minister, it would be neglect of our duty if we did not provide an alternative to that bid if we didn't think that the single unitary was a case that we could support. And that's exactly what we've done here. And there are a number of recommendations today before you, and I will ask Councillor Smedley if he would like to add to that, because you will see that there were some comments to the executive which I feel are fair, and we could easily include as part of our local recommendations. Councillor Smedley.
Thank you. As you can see, I did a report from the joint scrutinies meeting that took place on Monday, and just if I could just sum that up, including the additional recommendations that were mentioned. Clearly, the committee was unanimous with only one abstention in its support for the business case that was provided. There's clear support for the need for an alternative to the one Somerset submission, which they felt was quite remote and had a genuine democratic deficit in there. They voted to delegate authority to yourself, the Chief Executive, in consultation with other district leaders, Chief Executive, to take the case forward with some amendments and to continue consulting with local stakeholders and working with colleagues across all tiers of local government, which is quite an important thing, because obviously the nature of unitary means that you bring all the different tiers together, and the advantage of this submission is the involvement of the smallest tiers, and particularly the town and parish councils. The 5 additional items that they mentioned was the commitment to localism, which is something that I think the Stronger Somerset case demonstrates much clearer than the One Somerset case, which means a clear offer of what is to be devolved or discussed with local councils like towns and parishes in terms of specifically income generating services. And we recognised the support for the SALC principles, which were clear and inherent in the case as well. Also concerned that whatever ward boundaries came out of this, that they were relevant and local and clearly much more representative of the communities than the larger and more remote single Somerset case. The key area of contention, which needs a lot of work, we think, is the delivery of children's services and adult social care. And we felt that they needed to be capable of delivering improved public services, not just money saving and not just some even more remote and inaccessible option. They also need not to rule out in-house options. Some of the other unitaries that have been created have done that. They've managed to keep elements of that in-house, which I think is quite important. The other thing that was flagged up by councils representing the border areas of Sedgemoor is whatever size this new unitary is, there will be an overlap with nearby wards, particularly noted in North Somerset as an example, where some of the North Sedgemoor parishes did rely on links with cross-border into North Somerset there. And finally, very important was that frontline services are protected, and that the business case talks about investment, but also enhanced jobs and services and further active recruitment, which I think is very important to why this must be seen as a better case than the One Somerset case. So those are the additional 5 points that they wanted to raise. We also recognise, of course, this isn't the best time to be doing this, and we also recognise that there are problems with whether it may well be a foregone conclusion as to what happens at the end of the day. And of course you'll be aware of changes in national government this last day with the key figures resigning. So we support the case, and it was unanimous, and the committee to support the case with those extra points I've just mentioned there for you to take into consideration. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Councillor Smedley. Just a couple of points I would make. I think the business case is committed to localism and real localism, community-based localism within it. But I've got to say, it shouldn't be seen as mandatory for whatever tier of local government to accept something if they are unprepared or unable to do it. So just again, that is real localism, I think, actually allowing the lowest community-based groups to say whether they want it or not. I think that's most important. And going to your other point about improved adult social care and children's services, I think within the business case in front of us at the moment, one of the reasons why it doesn't save vast amounts of money in the initial period is because the plan is to invest in those areas, particularly in prevention, in order to cut back on the need for acute interventions at a later stage. And that is one of the fundamentals of our proposals for adult and children's services. I'm just going to go to the Chief Executive now for her to add her comments and thoughts at this time. Chief Executive.
Thank you, Leader. Thank you for those comments, and I'd like to thank Councillor Smedley for the feedback from scrutiny as well. I think the things that have been said this morning do reflect well the intention of the business case and what the business case is looking to achieve. It's very much balancing local representation, ensuring that there is a focus on local communities. The proposal for the east of the county and the west of the counties, as I've said on a number of occasions, is based on what we have identified as very clear synergies between those areas and a very clear focus of ambition that we feel that we can work together on. Without being too repetitive, Somerset as a county is extremely large, and we've always felt that one unitary is too big, so we believe that for that local focus and avoiding the democratic deficit, the two unitary approach is far more robust. But I think also what we're looking to achieve in this is the delivery at the right level, and I've said this on a number of occasions. So the commissioning of services it is key to success in this, and commissioning at the right level, whether that's from sub-regional right down to the very most local level, should our local communities want to do that. So I think it's an aspirational business case. I think it does address things that some of One Somerset doesn't in that regard. You've touched on the finances. The business case as presented does deliver savings at a level above One Somerset over a period of time. As you rightly say, the proposal certainly for social care would require upfront investment, which means there's a slightly longer payback period for that, but we feel that's really important to refocus those services and try and prevent people entering the system, as it were. And just to give some comfort or assurance on the figures as well, they have been compiled, I'll get my words out properly, apologies, compiled based on HM Treasury guidelines. So we've worked very closely with that to make sure that we're reflecting the savings back in the way that is required. It may not be always the way people might expect, but it's the way we've been required to pull them together. But I would still emphasise on that, while savings are very important, they won't solve the social care crisis in our view. That's a national issue, so further work will be required on that. And I've lost my train of thought entirely now, so forgive me. What I would just say finally, and then open it up to questions, is that, you know, this is an outline business case. As Councillor Smedley recognised, and I think everybody's recognised, there is still a great deal of work to do to give assurance on the future delivery of key services, and those are county and district services. I would say, I think in the last couple of weeks the focus has been on questions with regard to the county services, but let's not forget some of the very impactful and crucial services that we deliver as districts to our communities, and further work will now obviously continue if the districts approve these outline business cases, to take them for full proposals and submission to the Secretary of State at some point. I'll just finish at that point, I think, and open it up for questions.
Thank you. Mr. Brown, anything you wish to comment on?
No, I think at this stage, Leader, the issues have been covered off. I'm happy to assist in answering any questions.
Right, thank you. Okay, we've got Councillor Keane.
Right. Thank you, Leader. As Mr. Smedley and everyone has mentioned many times, care in the community and care of the elderly and disabled is absolutely crucial, and the delivery of that services is crucial. However, it has become apparent that there are in some ways some inconsistencies in how that care, particularly the person who lives in their own home in the community but who has rapidly failing capacity and abilities, and wishes to remain in their own home with the support of the care package. Way back in the early spring, at one of the Health and Wellbeing Board meetings, I did ask if we could have a workshop or a presentation on how the county structures its method of delivering the care package to the private person in the community. And at the time, the chair of the panel agreed that this was an essential piece of information. But the people the public health people who support that panel at county and who are instrumental in preparing the agendas have always omitted to make that part of their work programme, and so far have never been forthcoming, even with an acknowledgement that there is a question here. Now, in many of us, whatever form we take in the future, there are going to be pockets of population where there is a predominance of elderly people, and sooner or later everyone is going to need some sort of support at some level according to their own needs. And I think if the county can be persuaded to be more open with how they structure inside their own organisation, how they're doing it at the moment, that would help us as part of our business case. We would know a little bit more about what is going to be expected of us, and if anything, how we can do it better. Thank you, Leader.
Yeah, I will just say that I think, we can't necessarily do about what is existing at the moment. Our plans are for the future, and that's certainly something we would want to take into deep consideration as we move forward, recognising that at a community level, at a people level, which are the most important things, there are variations of care required, and we will need to address those as part of the detail following on from the business case. But so please rest assured that that will be taken into consideration. I don't know whether the Chief Exec wishes to say something there.
Nothing much to add other than to say, yes, I think the comments are well made, and I think that's where having the local focus is very important. As you say, the intricacies of the proposals moving forward have yet to be developed, and understanding what exists and what can be delivered will be key to take to a firmer proposition as we move forward into a shadow authority. And I think it will be probably once we get to that stage that some of those questions won't be answered until we actually get to that position where the shadow authority starts to be formed.
And what we have done at the moment is identified the problem areas and areas of concern that will need to be addressed as part of moving forward. And I thank you for that, Councillor Keane. Councillor Healey.
Yeah, thank you, Leader. Just to go on from what Councillor Keane was talking about, clearly one of the government's main directives, as we'll know from the white paper that's coming out, they put a lot of emphasis on adult social care, because it's one of the, and I know Councillor Keane knows this, one of the biggest problems we've got, elderly wanting to stop in their own homes. So I accept where you're coming from, but looking to the future, what the Chief Exec said and what you said, Lead, also, is the fact that you will be dealing with the same people. That's what we've got to get over. And I was quite interested to listen to the conversation early on, because both the business cases for the district and for the county are in their embryonic stage. So I think very clever council, whoever they may be, would look at the business case as it stands at the moment. Clearly they all need developing it up, because it's very, very clear what Chief Executive said about the business cases, all of them being the embryonic stage format. And I think the clever councils will be those that encourage the general public to be invited to come in, to actually listen to what's being said and actually grow that business case with the people for the future and get the feel of what's going on. A little bit of a ramble, I realise that, but I say, just to reiterate back, and I hope this is a little bit of comfort for Councillor Keane, is one of the government's main directives is adult social care. Thank you, Leader.
Thank you, and I'll also say, as I have said before, rather uniquely, there are plans to have an 8-week public consultation period on any proposals or all proposals that come forward. So it'll be a good time then for members of the public to raise any specific questions, so that the new authority, in whatever form it takes, will be able to address those as part of its detailed business plan.
Make a comment, Duncan?
Yeah, sure.
And this is absolutely not meant to be confrontational, it might sound it, but I think what Councillor Healey said is really important, in that we all have a part to play in this, and we're all part of that delivery chain. And I think the reading of the One Somerset business case in some places almost suggests that the abolition of the districts solves the problem, and I think it goes much deeper than that. So I would absolutely agree. It's about finding a solution that is a kind of whole life solution from prevention through to in the most acute stage. And I think that's where we've tried to differentiate in the stronger Somerset business case. And that simply losing a tier doesn't solve the problems or unblock issues. So I just felt I just felt I needed to say that, because I think that's a really important thing to capture as we move forward.
Yeah, and I think it is, and it is vital. And it's not as if we don't have any experience in that area as district councils. The success that we've had through prevention on the Together teams and the One teams, clearly, and our homelessness policies and actions. Clearly, we need to join all those up and have a complete, as you say, holistic solution, which is innovative. And I think that's exactly what we do. Councillor Slocum.
Thank you, Leader. I think the business case has shown there's a lot of detail in our business case, as we brought up the climate change is in there quite clearly in detail on page 17. But I think the 5 detailed issues that the scrutiny, joint scrutiny brought up are the finite detail of after the 4. So I would like to move the extra 5 recommendations from the scrutiny meeting and thank them very much, because I think it was a very good meeting. I think it brought out those finite details that are within our business case, I have to say, but I think it's perhaps good to see it. So I would like to move that recommendation, please, Leader.
Thank you. Yes, I mean, they are principles that I'm sure we would all wish to have within the proposal as we move forward. Chief Executive or Mr. Brown, have you got any comments on those 5 from scrutiny?
Only comment from myself, Duncan, would be that I think that they're very valid comments. I think they support the initial 5 recommendations or points that are made. So no issue with that at all. I think they're very valuable to keep in mind through the next stages of completing the business case.
All right, thank you. Members, any other comments or questions? Or can I put the recommendations combined with the comments and recommendations from scrutiny to the executive? Would you be happy for me to do that at this stage?
Yes.
In that case, that's
yes.
Moved and seconded. And if I can just go round the executive for your vote, please. Leader of Council, Duncan McGinty, having seen everything, vote in favour. Councillor Slocum.
Thank you, Leader. Councillor Jill Slocum, Deputy Leader, Inward Investment and Growth. I have seen and heard all the debate. I'm fully in favour.
Councillor Caswell.
Thank you, Leader. Councillor Mike Caswell listened intently to the debate, and unfortunately I'm going to have to abstain.
Thank you. Councillor Duddridge.
Yeah, thank you, Leader. Yeah, I've seen and heard everything that's been said, and I'm very happy to fully support the proposals.
Thank you. Councillor Gilling.
Thank you, Leader. As with others, I have heard and seen everything, and I'm more than happy to support it.
Thank you. Councillor Healey.
Yes, thank you, Leader. Mark Healey, Councillor. I've heard and seen the debate, and I'm happy to agree with that proposal. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Keane.
Yes, Janet Keane, and I have heard all the debate, and I fully agree with the proposal.
Thank you very much. And I'll now go to Mr. Melhuish.
Thank you very much, Leader and members. That's to confirm that the recommendation with the additional 5 points from the Joint Overview and Scrutiny Committee has clearly been carried. There was 1 abstention and 6 in support. Thank you.
Thank you. And that recommendation will go forward to full council this afternoon. And thank you, members. I mean, an historic day is looming for us. let's hope it turns out to be of benefit to the local communities in years to come. Right, members, then moving on to agenda item 6, which is shared legal services, following on from our partnership working. Clearly, it has been an ambition of ours to create resilience and additional capacity within the legal service section, and I hope members will agree that this is a positive way forward, rather like building control partnership and other partnerships we have within the county. So without further ado, I'd like to hand over to Mrs. Wellman for any comments or on the proposals before us.
Thank you. Good morning, members. As Duncan has said, yes, my report is to seek your approval to explore a shared legal services. Just a brief bit of background. Mendip District Council currently provides legal services for Somerset West and Taunton, and that contract is coming to an end at the end of this financial year. In addition, they provide some ad hoc advice to South Somerset, and they give advice to us on a couple of our projects, including the building control partnership. We also provide legal advice and support to town and parish councils and district councils as well. So with Mendip's contract coming to an end, this seems an ideal opportunity to explore a district-wide across the county shared services partnership. And the aim today would be to seek your approval to our developing a business case and an options appraisal. And in terms of the options appraisal, that would really be starting with a blank sheet of paper, looking at all of the potential options from, working simply in partnership or setting up a new legal entity, that type of thing. So we're seeking authority for that. I'm also asking for a contribution of up to £10,000 to fund our share of any costs in seeking external advisors to help us with drawing up the business case, because we clearly will need some expertise to help us with that. And really finally to say that this proposal is really just complementary to obviously the council's 2 unitary bid. If we are in a situation where the government decide to go with the 1 unitary bid, then we will need to obviously review the situation and decide the best way to proceed. So I've also included a recommendation to cover that point as well. That's all I had to say, but happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Just one question, and I should know the answer to this, but I'm sure somebody will ask it if I don't ask it. County have legal services. Have they been approached, or will the door be open for them should they wish to join at a later stage if they're not willing at the moment?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, the door will always be open, but no, at this stage, the discussions are just between the districts. But clearly, if County wanted to come on board, we would be happy to consider that. Right,
thank you. Councillor Healey.
Yeah, thank you, Melanie. Great to hear. I love business cases, as you know. I always like to get involved with them. So the business case itself, you're asking for £10,000 looking at legal costs. So the actual business case, you say, is it that you as an organisation wish to lead on this, be, if you like, senior members in this partnership, or the business case itself is so wide, it's almost 360 degrees, where you could look into loan principle that Sedgemoor take on the whole of the district's legal situation, or are you looking for partners? You say that Mendip District Council.
We're looking at every option. So, I mean, that's the benefit of us looking into this now, because clearly if Mendip were partway through their contract with Somerset West and Taunton, the situation might have been us being asked if we wanted to join their existing partnership. Because that contract is coming to an end, this gives the ideal opportunity to explore every option on the table. So yes, it could be a lead authority model. All of the options will be on the table, and we will need to look at the viability of each of those options.
Yeah, well, if I may be so bold through you leaders to say, clearly I would prefer the lead model, because obviously clearly if we're going to lead on it, clearly there's always got to be a leader and always got to be followers in the very nicest position. I personally would like to say I wouldn't personally like to join Mendip as a junior partner. If their contract's coming to an end, there's always a reason for that in the background. That's what I will be investigating, and I'm sure you are a very clever lady, you've probably already done that. But there's all my thoughts, but that's just me sort of throwing a pebble in the pond just to get a reaction, if I may. Thank you.
No, can I reassure you that that was one of the first, discussions we had, and Mendip have been very, very clear that actually this is starting with a blank sheet of paper, that they're not looking to lead this, and in fact one of the officers over at Mendip were leading in taking this project forward, but she's now asked me to take that on, so I will be leading in terms of progressing this. But yes, it's very much all options on the table, and we are not starting from a point of Mendip taking the lead. We're absolutely not in that position.
I'm sorry, through you, Leader, if you don't mind me coming back on that. Delighted to hear that, because I say clever people always take the lead and always have a way of actually making people follow them, which is always great, isn't it?
And I also like to think that with the coming of proposals for a new way of delivering services in Somerset, that we would look at this as more of an equal partnership, but maybe with one lead authority. But clearly we need to be on an equal footing with everybody to create the resilience and capacity that clearly is needed within the legal services. Yeah. Chief Exec, is there any comment that you wish to make?
My only comment, Duncan, would be that absolutely. I think it's important that we consider all the options. I think we need to look at the merits of each of those options, and we already have a number of examples where we have partnerships that can take a number of different forms. So that can either be with a lead authority or not. I mean, obviously it has to go through some delivery channel. That's stating the blindingly obvious, but I think this is a really good time to revisit what's gone before and look at how we can deliver it in the future. And it may be, and I'm not a legal expert, Melanie Bob could speak far more eloquently than myself, that there may be different solutions perhaps for different elements of our legal service. So I'm making no assumptions at this time on what the outcome could be.
If I may come in,
Wellman,
absolutely. There will be lots of options, and there will be options that that I don't know either, that we will get advice on, that we should be exploring. The one thing I just wanted to draw out, that I was obviously involved in the potential shared legal service a number of years ago, in about 2014-15. What I'm noticing is very different this time, is that quality is everybody on everybody's top of their agenda in terms of having a quality legal service. I think when we looked at it previously, it was a lot about money and some council situations at that point, and obviously money is always a factor, but I think having a quality legal service for all of the councils is what is absolutely fundamentally key.
Good, I agree with that. Councillor Slocum.
Oh, thank you, Leader. I wanted to ask first, Melanie, if I could, and then I could come back if I may. You say agree a contribution of up to 10,000. Is that, are we equally doing the 10,000? Are we each, with Somerset and Taunton and the councils?
We originally, I mean, it was a bit of a finger in the air, because until we go out and invite, prices and quotes, we don't know exactly what it would be. So originally we were all asking for 5, but when my report went through agenda set, it was felt that 5 wasn't sufficient, and whatever happens, we will still be paying an equal contribution, so we won't be paying more than anybody else, but certainly everybody has asked for at least 5.
Well, Leader, I think this is just what perfect timing. What perfect timing is this? Lead authority, we're going forward in a new I think this is amazing, and the timing is just so good. So I would like to move the 5 recommendations, please, and I hope they get seconded very quickly, because this is just the way forward, and thank you for the work that's been done on it.
Thank you. Councillor Caswell.
Thank you, Leader. I'm afraid Councillor Slocum stole a bit of my thunder, because I'm all in favour of these collaborative workings. I've seen the Somerset Building Control Partnership blossom into an organisation, and a really worthwhile organisation. And that was actually steered by members of our legal team. So they have vast experience of doing this. I was going to propose it, but I'm more than happy to second the motion.
Thank you, and I would just get members to note in the recommendation it says up to £10,000. That doesn't mean Mrs. Wellman's going to rush out and spend all of it, I'm sure.
No, you have my assurance, Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Brown.
Leader, it was just to say thank you to Melanie, who's taken this on at a difficult and busy time with other things that she's got on, but actually has rolled up her sleeves and got stuck out. I think, as all members have said so far, the time is right for this. We have I think probably the largest legal section, and our senior officers, certainly in the governance regime, we have qualified people at the highest level. So there is a real opportunity for us to work with other authorities, create a partnership, I think, that will work across the piece. And the mindset, as Melanie said, has changed significantly. People are concerned about the quality of advice they're receiving, and they realise now that if you want quality of advice and you don't have in-house lawyers providing it, you're going to have to pay £350 an hour to get it externally. And actually, if we can build that capacity to provide significant advice to all the local authorities at a cheaper rate when people realise what they're comparing it against, I think there's a real opportunity for us to have a high quality legal support service that can do all the council's justice across the piece.
Yeah, thank you for that. That's £350 an hour. God, that's getting on towards what roofers cost nowadays. That's unbelievable. Yeah. Right. Okay, members. The report has been moved and seconded. Are you happy that we take the vote, or any more comments or questions at this stage?
Happy for the vote.
Agreed.
Oh. Okay, then in that case, we'll go to the vote. I'm Duncan McGinty, Leader at Council. I've seen and heard the entire debate, and I support the recommendations. Councillor Slocum.
Councillor Slocum, Deputy Leader. I've seen and heard the debate, and I propose the recommendation.
Thank you. Councillor Caswell.
Yes, Leader, I have seen and heard the whole debate and thoroughly recommend it and second the motion.
Thank you. Councillor Duddridge.
Yeah, thank you, Leader. Yeah, seen and heard all the debate and very, very happy to support the motion.
Councillor Gilling.
Thank you, Leader. Yes, I have seen and heard everything, and I'm very, very conscious of the importance of a sound legal service that we can provide. I've only discovered that because I can't afford the divorce lawyers to confirm otherwise.
Thank you. Councillor Healey.
Thank you. I won't go that far, I don't think, but seen and heard the debate and happy to support. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Keane.
Janet Keane. I've seen and heard the debate, and I fully agree with the proposal.
Thank you. And then over to Mr. Calculator, Mr. Melhuish.
Thank you very much, Leader. Members. That's unanimous, that recommendation.
Okay, thank you very much. And that brings our business of today's executive to an end. Just like to thank you all for coming along today, and I look forward to seeing all of you this afternoon. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.